What bodybuilders recognized me in public, and who was my favorite bodybuilder from the 1970s? Stick around and find out. Now, this is Anabolic Academy. This is the show on my channel series that's on this bodybuilding where you guys ask me questions and I answer them. Where can you reach me? You can reach me at Serious and Silliness Instagram. You can reach me at John Olivia Facebook. You could reach me at John Olivia TikTok. You could email me, UncleJohn1201 at Gmail, or my other email, John_Olivia at Yahoo. So we only have 3 questions today, but that's okay. There are 3 pretty good questions. And the first 2 questions are from, you guessed it, Fran is the man, because guess what? Fran is the man. His first question is, let's see. Okay. What was your favorite form of cardio on contest prep? Oh, God, I hated doing cardio. Well, I didn't really have a favorite, right? But I had to do the stepper. That was what I had to do, the stepper. Or if I didn't do the stepper, I did an incline treadmill, more like a power walk, I guess you could say, on a very steep incline. Because I always had a problem bringing in my glutes and hamstrings when I was competing. So I would really, really try my hardest to do that. And I think the most cardio I ever did was like 50 minutes after a workout. And sometimes I got so tired of doing the stepper that I would break it up. I would do half on the stepper, half on the treadmill. I hated doing cardio. I look at the stepper now and I'm like, I want to throw up just thinking about how much I was on that damn machine. I do still do cardio. I'll do the treadmill, or if I don't do the treadmill the same way, I'll do like the elliptical. Sometimes I'll do the bicycle if I feel like it, but most of the time it's the elliptical or the treadmill. Um, but I hate that fucking step. But that step is like the devil. Ugh. It's like you're doing a contest when you're on that damn stepper. Ugh. All right. His next question. Who was the first famous pro bodybuilder that recognized you in public, and how did you react? Well, the truth is, the only bodybuilder that ever recognized me in public was somebody that did my show that I interviewed. I never, Nobody ever recognized me in public from my podcast as far as a pro bodybuilder, but people have, but not a pro bodybuilder. But I'll be honest with you, the first time I actually met Samson Dowda in person, because he was the first guy. I tell the story all the time. He was the first, bodybuilder, elite bodybuilder to ever do my show, and he's been on like I think 3 times, and we still kind of keep in touch. So the first time I met him was at the New York Pro in 2023, and that was that was actually really nice because he gave me a hug, and I was able to meet his wife, and she was an absolute sweetheart to me, and we took a picture together, and that was actually really nice when I got to meet him. I did interview Branch Warren, who was, one of my all-time favorites, and he did remember me this year. Um, I was actually talking to Nick Walker's mom, and he was standing next to Guy Sistanino, and they both remembered me because they were both on my show, and I shook both their hands. That was really nice. But no, no bodybuilder ever came up to me and recognized me from the podcast. Justin Rodriguez recognizes me, but just from because we go to the same gym, right? That was the same thing with Sean Clarita and Akeem Williams. They recognize me because they go to the same gym as me. We were at the same, NPC shows. Sometimes I would work, backstage for the promoters and whatnot as an expediter. They remember me from there, because I was an expediter when I was competing and after I was competing, and I would work for Steve Weinberger or Maz Ali. And so I would be shows in New York or New Jersey. And you always have the same guest poses, right? Because they're all from the area. So you have Akeem Williams, you had Guy Sistanino, you would have Juan Morel, you would have John De La Rosa, Sean Clarita. Those are the guys. Since they were all from the area, that they were most of the time, those were the guest poses, right? And that was actually pretty cool. But when I got to meet Samson Dowd, I'll be honest with you, even when I met him in person for the first time, even though he was on my show, I was a little nervous meeting him because it was like, there, if you guys, out there ever decide to roll the dice and do something, whether it's start a business or, pick up something that you really passionate about and love, you'll notice this. You'll go through this, unless you are just a selfish son of a bitch. But if you are any kind of a human, the people that first help you are the people that you hold in high regard. So when Samson Data did my show, it was like during COVID and I had just started, and I was begging for people to come on. And he was just like, yeah, no problem. And as a matter of fact, the first week he was supposed to come on, I screwed up the time because I thought they were, I think it was 5 hours behind me, but they're 5 hours ahead of me, and I screwed up the times. And he actually messaged me on Instagram, yo, are we doing this? And I went, and he goes, don't worry about it. So he actually was able to do it the following week. We got it right. So, I mean, guys like him that, don't know me from a hole in the wall, that did my show. Sergio Oliva Jr. is another guy. If I ever meet him in person, it would be the same way. So the fact that I just hold these guys in high regard because they're like, yeah, I'll do your show. They didn't care that I just started it. They didn't ask for money. They were just happy to do it. And those guys opened the door for me to get guys like Jay Cutler on and Linda Murray and Dave Palumbo and all the other Branch Warren and all the other great bodybuilders that came on. So it means a lot to me. And you'll see, you young guys out there, when you actually get into, like, either open your own business or maybe start your own podcast or whatever the case may be, you'll remember the people that help you, even if it's in the smallest way. You'll remember the people that help you. You'll definitely will. I mean, I'll talk to, my brother, and, he started his contracting business 30 years ago, and he'll still mention people that kind of guided him 30 years ago that were either a friend or a person he met, and it was helpful. And my brother's father-in-law allowed him to operate out of his business when he first started. My brother's father-in-law had a cheese factory. I know this is how, and he made all these different Italian cheeses, and he had this huge factory in New Jersey. And so he let my brother operate out of his factory, rent free. Get started, get on your feet, until my brother was able to, move into an actual, building where he could work out of it himself. And he wound up buying the building. And these are things that, you become grateful for. So when Samson Dowda came on my show and I was able to meet him in person, it was moving. It'll say that it was moving. All right. Next question from Vigar Salhenes. Vigar, when you just next time you send me a video or you DM me, just tell me how to pronounce your last name. That's Who is your favorite bodybuilder from the 70s? My favorite bodybuilder from the 70s. See, I automatically want to say Lou Ferrigno because Lou Ferrigno is from the same neighborhood as me. He was from Bensonhurst. And when you go back and you watch Pump and Iron, and that's Bensonhurst, where you see him working out in the gym and whatnot, and where his house was when he's sitting at the dining room table with his parents. And he was Italian from the neighborhood. I automatically want to say Lou Ferrigno. Uh, I would probably put him because he's from the same neighborhood. But there are a couple other guys that I liked. My father, because he was Italian, loved Franco Colombo, right? Because Franco Colombo was from Italy, right? So he really loved Franco Colombo. Um, I'm trying to think who else. Mike Katz, not because it was more because of his personality. He was such a nice guy and he was such a family man. There's that scene where he's with his kids in Pumping Iron and he's playing with his kids in his yard and whatnot. And he was such a really nice guy. Even when he lost, he went to go congratulate. I believe Ken Waller was the guy who won. But if I had to pick somebody, it would be Lou Ferrigno. And I never got a chance to meet him. He was obviously already in California you know, by the time I got into high school, he was already in California. He had started doing the show The Hulk, which I loved as a kid, in the late 70s or whatnot. Yeah, probably about the late 70s. And so he was already in California by then. He moved out of the neighborhood and whatnot. And he actually had two gyms. He had one in Brooklyn and he had one in Staten Island. And when I was in high school, I had already moved to Staten Island. And I I used to go to his gym in Staten Island. It was on Highland Boulevard, Ferrigno's gym. That was the first gym I ever went to. And what's funny about it is that my friend used to work there part time after school, and he used to sneak me in because we didn't have any money. We were kids, we didn't have any money for a membership. So and then he goes, he put in the computer that I was paid in full, uh, so I can just come and go and whatnot. And so I didn't even have to pay for my first membership, And then once that it closed down, then we had to get other jobs and go to different gyms and whatnot. And it was my friend James Aversano. We used to work out together. We were best friends in high school, but he passed away since then. But that's it. But I would have to say Lou Ferrigno because I used to love the show The Hulk. He was from the neighborhood. Everybody knew, who he was when they filmed that video, when they filmed Pumping Iron. Obviously, they filmed it before I was born. But when you watch it, that's all Bensonhurst. That's Brooklyn. That was the neighborhood. All right, guys, listen, like, share, subscribe. Please send me questions. I love answering questions. This is my favorite part of Serious Intelligence Bodybuilding Anabolic Academy. I love getting questions from you guys. Love answering them. And that'll do it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Later. Peace.